I've titled this presentation Continued Exploration Success because as big as the project is, it just keeps getting bigger. Without further ado, obligatory cautionary statements. And look, in summary, I'm not going to dwell on the market stuff. I think Eric hit that pretty well. Key thing is a lot of people don't seem to notice we are already in a bit of a base metal bull market. The zinc price where it's at now, in any other point in time, would have people exuberant. Now seems to be a muted response in the underlying, even producers, let alone us poor junior explorer developers. But look, the light's going to turn on at some point, and the best companies are going to move first, and they're going to move the farthest. And I like to think, although I'm a little bit biased, that Fireweed is in that category of best zinc companies. Our 2021 program, we're just getting initial results in, and at the risk of sounding like a broken record, it is game changing again, right? So here we go, 3-4 years in a row with significant discoveries of some sort, in the McMillan Pass project. And we're dirt cheap. Like, where are you buying a project of this caliber at this sort of price? It seems absurd to me, but this is how irrational markets work. Look, I'm not going to dwell on the team. John Robbins, our chairman, threw a quote in the news release today to say that he doesn't know that he's worked on an exploration project that's exciting to this. And considering the caliber of exploration projects he's worked on, it's a pretty strong statement. The project, again, I think everyone's pretty familiar with this, so you're not going to dwell on the location: Eastern Yukon Territory, Canada. Road access, we can get heavy equipment in there. We did in 2018 a resource update and PEA, which Eric kind of hinted at, that the existing resource was already pretty good before we started to get all the success. Pretty good. It was already pretty great before we started to get all the success. So, key things is that's a snapshot at a point in time. It's a indicator of where we were in 2018, and just so much has changed since then. We've got government support on the road. We've done great work at Tom and Jason, the initial 2 deposits, to improve and expand those. But really, it's been about the exploration success that's taking this needle and not like kind of ticking it up as sending it way forward. The little red box you see in the lower right there, that's what we had in 2018. That was the basis for that 2018 PEA and the underlying resource. And really, since then, we've taken this concept of this major basin bounding fault, a big crustal structure that seems to be the fluid source for these deposits. And we've taken that thesis and we've expanded that, and we've gone way west. We've made some discoveries out there, and this year and last has been focused on boundary zone area, specifically boundary zone and boundary west. Boundary zone initially, this had holes into it from Kamenko back in the 80s. They were drilling kind of low grade, big broad intersections. Interesting, definitely got your attention. We came in 2019 originally, 230 meters true thickness of 4.5% zinc. First 100 meters of that true thickness from surface, almost 9%. So when you consider like potential big scale open pit scenario, this is absurd margin potential. So we looked at the potential for both high grade and bulk tonnage here, and it proved super interesting. And what we noticed was that the mineralization styles we're seeing here were not like what we were seeing at Tom and Jason. Tom and Jason being the classic stratiform SEDEX or shale hosted base metal deposits. This hydrothermal breccias, clast replacement, big fat veins, you'd get a meter of 62% zinc in a pure sphalerite vein, right? And the different character of it kind of gave us a lot of head scratching about, well, what is this thing? And the pre-2020 concept was, oh, this is probably a feeder zone. This is a big, broad feeder at this intersection of two faults. It's producing this widespread mineralization, modest grade, locally very high grade when you hit the big fat veins. And maybe if this is plumbed into a barite horizon, you'll get, that'll act as a chemical trap, and you'll get some sort of massive sulfides and continuous strata-bound deposits like you see at Tom and Jason, and like you see the same sort of thing happening at, other big deposits like this, and deposits of this style like Red Dog. So, working on this thesis, we did a gravity survey and pushed west following that gravity anomaly, and drilling in 2020 and 2021, more focused west of boundary zone, which is kind of the lower right of this map. But boundary west, the first hits there immediately proved that thesis that we were looking at, which was, we saw this vein style mineralization. Then we saw a massive sulfide cap on it that pretty clearly from textures, from relic textures, was a outright replacement of a barite horizon. So you had pyrites, sphalerite, massive sulfides, pretty good grades, seemed to be a bit of a trend. We didn't have a strong idea of the structure there. And then the big bonus in 2020 was what we called the lower sequence. And that was in much older rocks than we'd ever seen mineralized in this district, was not something we expected to see. There again, the grade modest, locally very good, but for what was unexpected results and non-targeted, was very, very, very interesting. And this kind of took the convention of this district of, okay, there's a very fine band of ages that you have to work in to find mineralization, and then just tossed it out the window. So this is the same age of mineralization in the nearby Howard's Pass, which is the largest undeveloped zinc project in the world. So this led to a pre-2021, you see where I'm going here, again, pre-2021, with this new conceptual geology. It's like, okay, well, we have that vein style mineralization, and now we know the massive sulfides on top of it because we found it. And now we've got this lower sequence that is new and was bonus, and we hadn't really considered that to have existed before. So this told us, like, okay, the system's much longer lived than we thought. There's a substantial metalliferous fluid flux here, clearly multiple pulses of mineralization. Like, this thing's a beast, right? Like what's going on at boundary and across the district is just really exemplifies, like, a crazy, district and styles of mineralization, right? So that led into the 2021 drilling at boundary zone and then west boundary, which led to today's results. And this again took the model and just tossed it out and forced us to rethink everything again. So notably, again, vein style mineralization, massive sulfides on top of that, and then we had a gap in the strata, and then we hit a new, like, Tom Jason style, finely laminated, barite hosted mineralization layer. That the grade was, absurd, like 10 meters of 24% zinc and healthy 3.5% lead and 75 grams silver kicker, right? So for something, again, that we were not expecting to hit, this was an incredible bonus. And then, interestingly enough, the concept had been, as we had thought about pre-2021, was that, oh, this is all stratigraphically above what we see, just east of here at boundary zone, and this is like the cap on boundary zone. But actually, as we started to see fossils in the shales here, which can be difficult to age, it led to a new thinking. And this is a bit crude because my geologist threw it together this morning and he did a good job. But now we know that boundary west actually sits below boundary zone, and then the lower sequence sits below that, and then boundaries on top of that, and then Tom and Jason are on top of that, right? So how many sequences do we have here? I don't know, right? Like the notion of an upper and lower sequence now has to be thrown out because we just don't know how many sequences there are. So, this just further reinforces and expands upon this notion that whatever the dogma was historically about, oh, there's one horizon, it's the Tom Jason horizon, you got to explore that, everything else is garbage, is obviously nonsense. First off, Tom and Jason aren't the same horizon. Second, we're seeing numerous stratiform mineralization horizons below that. And then we're getting these vein style mineralizations that are cross-cutting that. And so you can see like various drill holes kind of sketched onto here of where we've been drilling over the years. And so this kind of reflects as well that, when you're drilling a boundary, they'd hit a certain layer and the mineralization would peter out and they'd stop drilling. But should they have kept drilling? What sits below boundary? What sits below Tom and Jason? There's so much depth potential here that's never been explored, that we're really excited about. But it's not just taking the known deposits and going to depth. We've been firming up these targets and we have a pretty good idea of where this major basin bounding structure intersects second order structures. You get the formation of these deposits and through a series of like gravity surveys, geochemistry, tracing mineralized boulders up ice, and then sometimes just stumbling across a mineralized outcrop. We've got a new zone, the Quinton zone, found by world famous geologist Quinton Wilms, who works for us. And, that's a sphalerite and galena outcropping in volcanics, completely unexpected, existing there between end zone and boundary zone, but with a certain periodicity that we've come to expect with the formation of these second order deposits. So it does make sense. So it's just a wealth of opportunity here. And it's kind of led to my next cheeky slide of like, what does it take to find a zinc deposit at Mac Pass? Well, it is fish in a barrel. It is a wealth of opportunity here, far more targets than we can drill in any year. And what it's shaping up to be is we have no intention of being perpetual explorers. We're not going to explore here forever and never build it. We intend to take a look at that 2018 PEA and look at all the value creation opportunities that exist inherent in Boundary West, engineering improvements, the funding of the road, and some of that blue sky exploration, and build on this. And that previous, 450 million after tax PEA is a snapshot of a point in time that looks nothing like this. We really expect the next study, which is going to come after next year's drilling, we hope, is going to blow that out of the water. And the terms like tier one get abused and abused a lot. And to be clear, I don't think Tom and Jason in that 2018 study would constitute a tier one zinc mine in production. But what we're shaping up here is something that probably will be. This is something that's very potentially going to be one of the 10 largest zinc mines in the world. First or second quartile costs and a long multi-cycle mine life, and the sort of mine life that you've got 20 years of, resource ahead of you constantly because you're exploring and expanding. So, the objective here is not to drill out the biggest resource in the world and be making sure we've, flesh out years 45 to 50 in the mine life. It's not a sensible use of our time or investor money. It's time to take this seriously and put the big boy pants on and get down to work here. So we got some big tasks ahead of us, but this project is such an amazing opportunity and such a rare thing for a junior to be holding, that we really just have to go for it. So that's it, so I will turn it back to Eric. We're here for the Q&A, and you can always reach me on my email address there, or phone me, or tweet at me. So thank you very much, everyone.